CM Punk just got destroyed in what might be the most brutal and shocking attack WWE has allowed on television in years, and the man responsible is someone no one saw coming. Jey Uso, the beloved babyface who the entire WWE universe has been cheering and supporting, just turned into an absolute monster by attacking CM Punk with such viciousness and such rage that Punk was left lying in a pool of his own blood while Jey stood over him laughing and telling the horrified crowd, "You wanted main event Jey Uso? This is what a main event star looks like." And the most devastating part? This attack happened after Punk's World Heavyweight Championship match, after Punk had already given everything he had in a 40-minute war, when he was completely vulnerable and defenseless. Jey didn't just attack Punk, he systematically dismantled him with steel chairs, ring steps, and the announce table, targeting Punk's surgically repaired body parts with precision that shows this betrayal was planned for weeks. When I reveal what Jey said that proves Roman Reigns orchestrated this entire betrayal from behind the scenes, when I show you the graphic footage that WWE tried to cut away from but couldn't stop fast enough, and when I explain why CM Punk is now in emergency surgery with injuries so severe that his return to wrestling is in serious jeopardy, you're going to be devastated by how WWE just destroyed the year's most inspiring comeback story and turned the wrestler we all loved into the villain we never wanted to see. Let me take you through the absolute nightmare that was the main event of this premium live event, because understanding what Punk went through before Jey's attack makes the betrayal even more heartbreaking and more shocking. CM Punk was defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther in what was being billed as the match of the year, a dream match between two of the most technically skilled and psychologically brilliant performers in wrestling today. The build to this match had been perfect, with both men showing mutual respect while acknowledging that only one could stand at the top of WWE's mountain. The match itself was an absolute masterpiece of professional wrestling. 43 minutes of back-and-forth action that had the crowd on their feet for the entire duration. Gunther worked over Punk's ribs with his devastating chops and submission holds, creating welts and bruises that were visible even from the cheap seats. Punk fought back with his technical prowess and his never-say-die attitude, hitting GTS after GTS only for Gunther to somehow kick out every time. The near falls were so convincing that even people who knew wrestling was predetermined were questioning whether Punk could actually retain his championship. In the end, Punk pulled out the victory with a roll-up counter that caught Gunther by surprise, but the victory felt earned rather than fluky because both men had given absolutely everything. The crowd gave both wrestlers a standing ovation as Gunther showed respect by shaking Punk's hand before leaving the ring. Punk was left alone in the ring, championship held high, tears in his eyes because at 46 years old, after all the injuries and all the setbacks and all the people who said he was done, CM Punk was on top of the wrestling world as World Heavyweight Champion. That image of Punk celebrating with the title, the crowd chanting his name, this moment of pure joy and vindication, that's what makes what happened next so absolutely devastating. Jey Uso's music hit, and initially the crowd cheered because Jey has been positioned as one of Raw's top babyfaces. Jey and Punk had developed a friendship and storyline, with Punk serving as something of a mentor figure to Jey as Jey navigated life outside the bloodline and Roman's control. Everyone assumed Jey was coming out to congratulate Punk, maybe set up a future championship match, something positive and respectful. But the look on Jey's face as he walked to the ring immediately told a different story. This wasn't the smiling, energetic Jey Uso that fans had come to love. This was something darker, something colder, something that looked disturbingly similar to the Jey who spent years under Roman's thumb. Jey entered the ring where Punk was still recovering from his brutal match, still breathing heavy, still clutching his ribs in obvious pain. Punk extended his hand for a handshake, a gesture of respect between friends and colleagues. Jey looked at Punk's extended hand, looked up at Punk's trusting face, and then superkicked Punk directly in the jaw with devastating impact. The crack of Jey's boot connecting with Punk's face echoed through the arena, and Punk dropped like he'd been shot. The crowd's cheers turned to gasps and then to boos as everyone processed what just happened. This wasn't a heel-turn promo where Jey explained his motivations first. This was pure ambush, pure betrayal, pure violence without warning or explanation. But that superkick was just the beginning of Jey's assault. As Punk tried to get to his knees, still dazed and confused about why his friend just attacked him, Jey grabbed the World Heavyweight Championship belt and cracked Punk across the face with it. The metal plate of the championship connected with Punk's forehead and immediately opened a gash that started bleeding profusely. Punk fell backward, blood already streaming down his face, and Jey stood over him with the bloodied championship belt in his hands looking absolutely demonic. The referee tried to intervene, tried to pull Jey away, but Jey shoved the referee so hard that the official went flying across the ring and rolled out to the floor. WWE officials and security started rushing down the entrance ramp, but Jey moved quickly to do as much damage as possible before they could stop him. Jey rolled out of the ring and grabbed a steel chair from ringside, and the crowd was screaming at Jey not to do what everyone knew he was about to do. Jey slid back into the ring with the chair and proceeded to deliver the most vicious and unprotected chair shots to CM Punk's body that WWE has shown in years. Shot after shot to Punk's back, his ribs, his legs, each impact echoing through the arena and making people wince or look away. But the most disturbing shot came when Jey positioned Punk's head on the chair and then stomped on the back of Punk's skull, driving his face into the steel in a move that is legitimately banned in WWE due to the serious concussion risk it creates. Officials finally reached the ring and swarmed Jey, pulling him away from Punk's broken body, but Jey was fighting through them, breaking free multiple times to continue his assault. At one point, Jey grabbed the ring steps and tried to throw them at Punk's head, which could have literally killed him if security hadn't tackled Jey at the last second and wrestled the steps away from him. The image of CM Punk lying motionless in a growing pool of his own blood while Jey Uso screamed and struggled against security trying to get back to continue the assault, that's going to be burned into people's memories forever. When they finally dragged Jey out of the ring and up the ramp, Jey grabbed a microphone from a production member and delivered a promo that shocked everyone and revealed the depths of this betrayal. Jey said, "CM Punk, you thought you could trust me? You thought we were friends? I've been playing you since day one. Everything I said, everything I did, it was all to get close to you so I could do exactly what I just did. And you know who taught me how to manipulate people? Who taught me that loyalty is weakness and trust is a weapon you use against your enemies? Roman Reigns. The tribal chief sends his regards, Punk. Welcome back to the war." That revelation that Roman orchestrated this entire betrayal, that Jey has been working with Roman all along despite publicly leaving the bloodline, that their friendship was a lie designed to position Jey close enough to Punk to destroy him when it mattered most, that adds layers of psychological devastation to the physical destruction. CM Punk didn't just get attacked. He got betrayed by someone he mentored and trusted, and that betrayal was orchestrated by his longtime rival Roman Reigns, who has apparently been playing 4D chess this entire time. The medical attention Punk received immediately after the attack showed how serious his injuries were. Punk was unresponsive for several minutes, requiring medical staff to work on him in the ring before they could even safely move him. Blood was everywhere, covering the mat, the turnbuckles, medical personnel's gloves. When they finally got Punk onto a stretcher, his eyes were glazed and unfocused in a way that suggested serious concussion or potentially worse head trauma. The stretcher was wheeled to the back with cameras following, and the image of CM Punk, WWE's champion, being taken out on a stretcher after what should have been his greatest triumph, that's absolutely heartbreaking. The immediate medical evaluation backstage was alarming and led to Punk being rushed to a local hospital for emergency treatment. According to sources with knowledge of his condition, Punk suffered a severe concussion, a deep laceration on his forehead requiring over 20 stitches, damage to his previously surgically repaired back and neck from the chair shots, and potential fractured ribs. Most concerningly, doctors wanted to do comprehensive brain scans because Punk was showing signs of potential traumatic brain injury from the chair-assisted curb stomp that Jey delivered. Punk was taken into emergency surgery to address internal damage from the rib attacks and to ensure there was no swelling or bleeding in his brain. The surgery lasted over 4 hours, with Punk's family and close friends waiting anxiously for updates. WWE released a statement saying CM Punk suffered significant injuries during tonight's event and is receiving the best possible medical care. We will provide updates on his condition as they become available. Our thoughts are with Punk and his family during this difficult time. The wrestling world's response has been overwhelming shock and anger directed at Jey Uso. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from people expressing concern for Punk's health to people calling Jey a disgrace and demanding he be fired from WWE for the severity of the attack. The hashtags #PrayForPunk and #FireJeyUso were both trending worldwide within minutes of the attack. Wrestlers from WWE, AEW, and independent promotions posted messages of support for Punk and messages expressing disbelief at what Jey did. But here's where this situation becomes even more complicated and controversial. Roman Reigns appeared on social media shortly after the attack with a video message that made it clear this was exactly what he wanted. Roman said everyone kept asking when Roman Reigns was coming back to Raw. When was the tribal chief going to reclaim his throne? The answer is, I never left. I've been there the whole time, working through people you trusted, manipulating situations from behind the scenes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jey destroying CM Punk tonight? That was move number 1. And there are more moves coming. Raw belongs to me, whether I'm physically there or not. That confession from Roman that he's been orchestrating attacks and manipulating people remotely, that he views Raw as his territory even though he's not technically on that brand, sets up a terrifying scenario where no one on Raw can trust anyone because anyone might be secretly working for Roman. CM Punk's attack was just the opening move in what appears to be Roman's plan to destabilize and eventually control Raw through fear, manipulation, and strategic violence. Jey Uso's character transformation from beloved babyface to remorseless heel is one of the most dramatic and shocking turns WWE has done in years. For months, Jey has been portrayed as someone who finally broke free from Roman's control, who was learning to trust again, who was finding his own identity separate from the bloodline. All of that was apparently a lie or a manipulation, and Jey is actually worse now than he was under Roman's thumb because now he's choosing to be this cruel and violent rather than just following orders. The question of whether CM Punk can or should continue wrestling after this attack is going to dominate discussion for weeks. Punk is 46 years old. He's already had multiple surgeries on his back, his neck, and other body parts. He's already defied expectations by returning to wrestling and becoming champion. But another serious injury, particularly one involving potential brain trauma, could be the thing that forces Punk into retirement whether he wants it or not. The idea that CM Punk's fairytale comeback story might end like this, with him destroyed by someone he trusted and facing a career-threatening injury, is absolutely tragic. WWE's booking of this angle is either brilliant long-term storytelling that sets up multiple compelling revenge storylines, or it's reckless destruction of one of their biggest stars for a shock moment that won't pay off properly. If Punk returns and gets satisfying revenge against Jey and Roman, if this leads to an epic confrontation that justifies the brutality of this attack, then history will remember this as a great angle. But if Punk's injuries prevent him from wrestling again, or if WWE fumbles the follow-through, then this will be remembered as WWE needlessly sacrificing CM Punk's health and his comeback story for a twist that ultimately meant nothing. The immediate future of the World Heavyweight Championship is in complete chaos. Punk obviously cannot defend the title given his condition. WWE will need to either strip him of the championship and crown a new champion through a tournament or match, or they'll need to keep the title on Punk and have him forfeit it when he's able to appear on television to create a more dramatic moment. Either option is unsatisfying because it means Punk's championship reign, which should have been a triumphant run, gets cut short by this attack. Jey Uso's future as a character depends entirely on whether WWE commits to him as a top heel or whether this turn feels temporary and half-hearted. Jey has shown in the past that he's capable of great heel work when given the opportunity. But the level of violence he displayed in attacking Punk was extreme even for WWE standards, and maintaining that level of heat and that level of villainy requires consistent booking and protection. WWE can't have Jey do something this heinous and then 2 months later have him lose to mid-card babyfaces and look weak. Roman Reigns' involvement from a distance, his ability to manipulate Raw even while not being physically present, creates fascinating storytelling possibilities but also raises questions about how long this can be sustained. Eventually Roman needs to appear on Raw and face consequences for his actions. Eventually CM Punk, if he's able to return, needs to get his hands on both Jey and Roman. The build to those confrontations could be incredible, but WWE needs to have patience and let the story develop naturally rather than rushing to payoffs before the audience is ready. The broader implications for Raw's roster are that everyone now needs to question who they can trust. If Jey was secretly working for Roman this entire time, who else might be compromised? Which other friendships or alliances might be built on deception? That paranoia and uncertainty can create compelling television where every interaction carries potential threat, but it can also become exhausting if WWE isn't careful about how they reveal and resolve these questions. CM Punk being left bloody after Jey Uso's brutal attack represents either the darkest and most compelling chapter of Punk's comeback story, setting up an eventual revenge that will be satisfying and cathartic, or it represents a tragic end to that comeback with Punk's body unable to withstand the punishment and his fairytale ending being replaced by a nightmare. The wrestling world is praying that Punk recovers fully and quickly. Fans are demanding that Jey and Roman face consequences for this attack, and WWE needs to prove they can deliver a payoff worthy of this shocking and devastating beginning. Right now, we wait for medical updates on CM Punk's condition and we process the reality that the wrestler we all wanted to see succeed might have just had his dreams destroyed by the ultimate betrayal.